Supports are incredibly powerful in Wuthering Waves. Keeping your team alive is one of the greatest ways to increase your overall DPS. It's hard to deal damage if you're dead. With access to powerful Sonata sets like Rejuvenating Glow or Moonlit Clouds and damage boosts to teammates present across all of their kits, it's highly recommended to slot one of these supports in across all of your teams. When the endgame in Wuthering Waves requires you to field 3 teams from your roster, identifying your ideal 3 supports early on is a fantastic way to save resources across your account. As you can see, it's getting a bit rough out here, especially on the shell credit side. Once you hit UL 40, you might find yourself scraping the bottom of the barrel for every resource you can. Today I'll be covering the first of my top 3 picks for the support role. Their best echo sets, skill priority, weapons, and best team comps, so that you can focus your investments across your roster and prevent any unnecessary expenditures of those time-constrained resources. We'll be starting off with the budget option, first with the cheapest team. This one is a high priority if you haven't been pulling on a lot of limited banners. Taoqi is a support most commonly used alongside Dan Jin and Havoc Rover in a mono Havoc team. Her main sustainability comes in 3 forms. She can parry and reduce damage with her heavy attack and skill, she heals herself upon activating her skill, and she provides a large shield with her forte bar by basic attacking after a parry or her intro skill. Taoqi shines the brightest when you activate her shield following her intro skill, as she will generate 3 stacks of her forte bar upon using an intro skill and rapidly consume it with those basic attacks. She then grants a large shield to the on-field character based off how many forte charges she's just used, and can then follow up with her resonance skill to apply 3 stacks of a unique buff, Rocksteady Shield, to the on-field character and also heal herself. This buff grants 15% damage reduction per stack and loses a stack upon getting hit by an enemy. This means that Taoqi, in her normal rotation, accomplishes a couple of things. First, she grants a large shield based off her defense. Second is she grants a 45% damage reduction that falls off after several hits. And third, she heals a member of the team, which is herself. These characteristics make her an incredible support for a few reasons, and you'll see these reasons mentioned again for the other 2 characters on this list. The first reason is that she can use the Rejuvenating Glow support set. With her resonance skill healing herself, this is enough to trigger the 5-piece effect and grant a 15% attack boost to the team for 30 seconds. With her optimal teammates, Dan Jin and Havoc Rover, both scaling off of attack, this set is the easiest way to improve that optimal team's overall DPS. The second reason is because of the 4-cost echo available on the Rejuvenating Glow set. The Bell-born Geochalone, or the Bell Turtle for short, deals damage based off of defense, which scales amazingly with Taoqi and also provides a 50% damage reducing and 10% damage increasing shield that falls off after 3 hits from the enemy. This echo effect synergizes with Taoqi's kit in almost every single way, providing a massive damage reduction buff when used alongside her Rocksteady Shield from that resonance skill. That means that her shield, when bolstered by these 2 effects, will last a very long time. All Taoqi needs is a full Concerto bar on either of her teammates to start off this rotation. It's clear that Taoqi is more than capable in the survivability department. She provides incredible damage boosts through her outro skill, which increases the incoming Resonator's resonance skill damage by a massive 38%. On her optimal team, Dan Jin receives the most benefit from this bonus, with her constant usage of her resonance skill across her rotation. Dan Jin then provides her outro skill, which amplifies all Havoc damage, to Rover for their rotation. When it comes to her progression, at later ascensions, Taoqi even provides a 15% damage boost to the on-field character. For her sequence nodes, her most notable sustain upgrades include S1, which provides a huge increase to her shield, S3, which increases the uptime on the Rocksteady shield buff from her resonance skill, S4, which increases her self-healing and defense percentage, and S5, which increases her personal energy regeneration. Her other sequence nodes, on the other hand, are a bit more damage oriented. When it comes to her echoes, Taoqi has several options. As hinted previously, Rejuvenating Glow is likely her best in slot set for overall team damage on her optimal teams. Her echo main stats, on the other hand, are up for debate. Taoqi is entirely capable of taking on an increased damage roll in her teams. This means that her 4-cost and 3-cost echoes will vary depending on how much sustain a player needs. A pure sustain-focused Taoqi will ideally look for defense percentage across all of their echoes with a potential energy recharge main stat on their 3 costs. There's no need to fish for crit or damage substats. A more damage-oriented Taoqi will stick to defense percentage on their 1 costs and a mix between Havoc damage percent, crit rate, crit damage, and defense percentage on their 3 and 4 costs. Taoqi attacks a lot in her normal rotations, and her scalings are relevant. Players can lean more into her DPS by building her with more critical substats and Resonance Liberation damage percentage. However, her damage pales in comparison to her teammates in most scenarios, making a 5-piece Havoc Sonata set less impactful than other support options. If running Taoqi with another healer, she can instead run the Moonlit Cloud set. However, this isn't recommended because she can provide enough sustain on her own. Taoqi's weapon options are rather slim, but very accessible to every single player. Dauntless Evernight is the #1 recommendation, because, well, it's free. You can loot this weapon by climbing up to the Floating Highway near Ghost Rider. It provides a defense main stat and a defense buff upon using an intro skill, which synergizes fantastically with Taoqi's optimal rotations. Discord is also a fantastic choice to speed up Taoqi's field time by generating Concerto energy upon casting a resonance skill. Its low base attack isn't a huge deal, as Taoqi scales primarily off defense, and its energy recharge main stat allows her to build up Concerto energy faster through more frequent resonance liberations. Looking into some more of her budget weapons, Originite Type 1 is the 3-star recommendation, as it provides additional healing on her resonance skill and a fantastic defense percentage main stat. When it comes to her 5-star options, Taoqi doesn't really work that well with the current 5-star Broadblades. Jian's weapon is a little bit too heavy attack oriented and doesn't synergize that well with the sustain parts of her kit. The standard 5-star Broadblade with its stat distribution is just not really worth even talking about on Taoqi. Overall, Taoqi provides so many sources of damage mitigation and shielding that her lack of team-wide healing isn't really a concern for most content. Her damage amplification doesn't have too many use cases right now, but if future characters release with a heavy focus on resonance skill damage, she could be a top pick on those teams. Hopefully, this short and sweet overview on Taoqi's support capabilities has highlighted the massive upside she can bring to teams. I definitely plan on building her in the future, but like I mentioned before, the resource constraints are rough right now. She makes a fantastic team with Havoc Rover and Dan Jin that I'm looking forward to taking in the Hazard Zone. Be on the lookout for the next episode, where we'll be focusing on a support who consolidates many roles in their team. Till then, peace out.